What is life like for a soldier in North Korea? With over 1 million active soldiers, nearly 6 million in paramilitary forces, and 200,000 in reserves, North Korea maintains one of the largest military forces globally. But behind the impressive parades and chants of loyalty, soldiers, especially women, face grueling conditions. They struggle with poor hygiene, extreme malnutrition, and back-breaking labor, often surviving on little food. How much suffering can they endure before the system begins to fall apart? Let's uncover the harsh realities they face. Did you know that in North Korea, women are required to serve in the military, facing challenges that are incredibly harsh? Since the year 2015, military service has been mandatory for them, and the conditions they endure are often described as worse than those faced by their male counterparts. Female soldiers frequently lack access to basic rights and are often forced to give up their hopes of having children. Even the most basic hygiene products are scarce, leaving them with little to maintain their well-being. It's difficult to imagine how a country could treat its soldiers, those who are meant to protect the nation, with such neglect. The military culture in North Korea reflects a deeply ingrained system of patriarchy and gender inequality. These women not only face the same grueling training as the men, but are also burdened with additional responsibilities, like cooking and cleaning, after their long days of service. Sadly, these tasks are often accompanied by harsh criticism and ridicule. This situation raises important questions about gender inequality within the military, and serves as a harsh reminder of the urgent need to improve living conditions and uphold basic human rights, especially for those who sacrifice so much for their country. But what lasting effects does this relentless treatment have on individuals who are already stretched to their breaking point? After 6 months of grueling training with barely enough food, female soldiers in North Korea often face severe malnutrition. During their outdoor duties, which they perform alongside their male counterparts, they are not allowed to bathe or change clothes, regardless of how dirty or uncomfortable they become. Imagine the toll this takes on their physical and mental well-being. But the situation goes even deeper. Within the military ranks, higher-ranking officers often abuse their power to exploit those below them. While North Korea publicly claims to punish such crimes with prison sentences of up to 7 years, justice is rarely served. Officers who break the rules often threaten to destroy the career prospects of subordinates, especially if they dare to report any abuses. How many of these individuals, fearing retaliation, quietly suffer in silence? What kind of mindset could foster such deep loyalty, where soldiers are willing to endure these unimaginable hardships without protest? Before we go any further, I have a quick 10-second favor to ask from you. If you appreciate this content, please hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you stories like these. Thank you, and we promise to keep improving the show for you. Deal? How can a country maintain one of the largest armies in the world despite widespread poverty, malnutrition, and a lack of basic freedoms? The answer lies in a system of education and ideological indoctrination that starts from an incredibly young age. In North Korea, children are molded by a militarized ideology created by the ruling Workers' Party as soon as they step into school. Instead of images of flowers or playful scenes, North Korean preschools are decorated with pictures of cartoon animals holding weapons. These aren't just decorations, they're designed to instill blind loyalty to the regime. Books, TV shows, and even songs for children all promote the same message: heroic soldiers defeating enemies, with propaganda woven into every part of daily life. Mandatory military service is one of the most striking examples of this deep-rooted culture of sacrifice. Until the year 2021, men were required to serve in the military for up to 13 years. Following a government decree, the service period was reduced to 8 years for men and 5 to 8 years for women. Even with this change, the commitment is extraordinary when compared to other nations. In many countries, like the United States, military service is either much shorter or entirely voluntary. The physical requirements for military service also reflect the nation's dire situation. In the year 2012, the minimum height for male soldiers was set at 4 feet 9 inches. This was later lowered to just 4 feet 8 inches, a direct result of widespread malnutrition that has stunted the population's growth. By comparison, the minimum height requirement for men in the United States Army is 5 feet. These figures and images offer a glimpse into the harsh realities of life in North Korea, as well as the powerful mix of ideology and circumstances that create a society where military service is viewed as essential. It's true, whether you're a sex worker, a transgender person, or a military veteran, young people from all backgrounds are looking to improve themselves. What drives people to remain loyal to a system that demands such immense sacrifice and hardship? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. When new recruits join the Korean People's Army, they go through a 6-month basic training program. While combat training is supposed to be the main focus, limited access to vehicles, fuel, and ammunition means that live-action drills are often not possible. Instead, soldiers spend their days doing intense physical exercises designed to build discipline and memorize essential skills through repetition. Reports indicate that a soldier's day usually starts at 5 in the morning and doesn't end until 10 at night, with just 3 hours set aside as free time. However, this is rarely time for relaxation. Soldiers are often sent to work on farms or help raise livestock to supplement the meager rations they receive. After completing their basic training, they are assigned to more specialized programs within their divisions. The pressure intensifies for those chosen to participate in public demonstrations. When cameras roll, soldiers are expected to perform flawless feats. Some train for months, perfecting their movements for a single ceremonial parade, where every step must be executed with precision, all in honor of the supreme leader. Life in the military doesn't ease up after training. With strict leave policies in place, soldiers are granted only 2 weeks of leave, once or twice throughout their service. Even under special circumstances, they are allowed a maximum of 10 days off, and only if their commanding officer approves. When not in training, soldiers are often sent to assist with agricultural work, support local farmers, or take on heavy labor for large government projects. In the year 2016, the government deployed many soldiers to work on projects like the Tangent hydropower plant and the Seppo Tableland project. They performed grueling tasks such as mining and land leveling, often without the use of modern equipment. While both men and women train together, women typically undergo shorter training periods and are assigned tasks like cooking and cleaning. But what motivates some soldiers to risk everything in an attempt to escape, while others endure a life of relentless hardship without question? For North Korean soldiers who contemplate escaping, the decision is fraught with danger. Refusing to serve or attempting to flee is heavily punished, and the Ministry of People's Security enforces strict travel restrictions on all citizens, including military personnel. Only those assigned specific duties in allied countries, such as China, are allowed to travel abroad. For those who choose to flee, secrecy is vital. Most attempt to take treacherous routes through rugged rivers and mountains toward China, or they risk crossing the heavily fortified demilitarized zone that separates North and South Korea. However, China does not recognize North Korean defectors as refugees, and soldiers caught there are swiftly deported back to North Korea. Crossing the DMZ, a 2.5-mile wide buffer zone, is even more perilous. This area is packed with landmines, electric fences, and military outposts. The soldiers stationed here often come from elite backgrounds and are given slightly better conditions, all designed to discourage escape. Yet some still take the extreme risk of trying to cross. A well-known case is that of Oh Chong-song, a North Korean soldier who escaped in the year 2017. The son of a senior military officer, Oh was facing severe punishment for an alleged offense. In search of freedom, he sprinted across the DMZ, chased by fellow soldiers. Though he was injured in the process, he managed to reach South Korea, where doctors discovered his body infested with parasitic worms. This was a grim sign of North Korea's reliance on human waste as fertilizer, a task often assigned to soldiers. While he survived his escape, his decision had dire consequences for those left behind. When watching North Korean military parades, it's hard not to be impressed by the flawless uniforms, polished boots, and perfectly synchronized movements. But have you ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes to maintain this image of discipline and strength? Take, for instance, the footwear worn by female soldiers. While their uniforms may look immaculate, many are required to march in small, high-heeled shoes that prioritize appearance over practicality. To keep these shoes in place during intense training and parades, some soldiers use rubber bands or makeshift straps to hold them on, an uncomfortable reality that contrasts sharply with the polished image presented to the public. The difficulties don't stop with footwear. For most soldiers, uniforms and equipment are issued in very limited amounts. A new summer uniform is given only every 2 years, while winter uniforms are replaced every 3 years. Summer shoes are provided every 2 years and winter boots are given out annually, but even this infrequent supply is often of poor quality. According to a North Korean defector, the shoes provided to soldiers are poorly made, typically just a thin layer of cotton. After only a few uses, the material quickly falls apart, leaving soldiers' feet exposed to the rough insides of their shoes. These behind-the-scenes details expose the physical toll hidden beneath the polished exterior of military displays. What do you think drives North Korea to put its soldiers through such extreme conditions, even when it risks their health and well-being? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to follow our channel for more fascinating insights. North Korea has long struggled with food shortages, a result of limited trade connections and a heavy reliance on domestic farming. Crop failures have often led to severe famines, and even when international aid has been offered, the country has frequently restricted foreign humanitarian assistance. These challenges extend to the military, where soldiers face significant nutritional hardships. A typical soldier's meal consists of basic staples like corn, rice, and cabbage. During certain months, the diet becomes even more limited. Potatoes are the main food source in June, and by August, green corn is served 3 times a day. Coupled with intense physical training, such meager rations can quickly lead to malnutrition within just 6 months of service. In the year 2015, a leaked recording shed light on the alarming state of malnourished soldiers. The situation was so dire that officers reportedly instructed soldiers to steal food to keep their unit sustained. Soldiers resorted to taking grain and livestock to survive. If a soldier became too weak to carry out their duties, they were sent home to recover, putting additional strain on already struggling families. Once their health improved, they were sent back to continue their service, creating a never-ending cycle of deprivation. In the year 2021, Kim Jong-un issued a directive aimed at addressing this crisis, requiring soldiers to receive at least 1 meal per day that included beans, such as soybeans or tofu. Commanders who failed to enforce this were subjected to penalties. However, the bean leave system that followed only shifted the burden to the soldiers. They were given 10 to 14 days off, but were required to return with 100 kilograms of beans, or an equivalent amount of rice or corn. This forced many soldiers to take food from their already impoverished families or communities, leaving them with the painful decision of whether to support their military unit or care for their loved ones. While these policies worsen the hardships faced by soldiers, the stark contrast between their suffering and the well-fed leadership raises uncomfortable questions about the future of those forced to endure such inequities. You might assume that the demanding training and sacrifices of North Korean soldiers would be rewarded with reasonable pay, but the reality is far from that. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in the early 1990s, North Korea's economy struggled due to mismanagement. Today, the average North Korean earns only a small fraction of what their South Korean counterparts make, about $100 per month. Soldiers often fare even worse, receiving payment mostly in food or basic goods instead of cash. So, how do they survive in such harsh conditions? When soldiers do earn money, it barely covers even their most basic needs. By mid-year 2021, food shortages had pushed prices to shocking levels. A kilogram of bananas cost $45 and a bottle of shampoo was priced over $200. These prices reflected the deepening economic crisis as the government controlled bank savings and restricted withdrawals. Most citizens have no choice but to rely on cash, leaving no room for savings or financial stability. Even high-ranking officers face significant financial strain. In the year 2013, 4-star generals reportedly received around $1,200 per month in additional incentives. 3-star generals earned about $1,000, and 2-star generals were paid $700. In comparison, U.S. generals at the same level earned a starting salary of over $16,600 per month, highlighting the extreme disparity. But how can a military function effectively when its soldiers are not only underpaid but also forced to rely on a healthcare system that barely exists? North Korea's Public Health Act claims to provide free and comprehensive healthcare to all its citizens, including soldiers. Each military division is said to have its own hospital, giving the impression of a well-structured system. However, reports suggest that medical facilities are often severely understocked, with essential medications often unavailable. When drugs are in supply, soldiers and civilians alike are expected to pay for them, an almost impossible demand, considering the average monthly income in North Korea is less than $2. For those who can't afford treatment, natural remedies become the only option. In December of the year 2020, reports surfaced that nearly half of the soldiers in the 1st Corps Infantry Unit were too sick to participate in training. This widespread illness raises serious concerns about the conditions these soldiers endure. In a country that claims to have never reported a single case of COVID-19, these figures cast doubt on official claims and reveal the severe limitations of the healthcare system. The reality faced by North Korean soldiers stands in stark contrast to the well-polished image presented by the regime. How long can such conditions continue before the cracks in the system become impossible to overlook? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think will be the long-term effects of this neglect on North Korea's military strength? When Kim Jong-un visits his troops or oversees military parades, it's common to see soldiers displaying intense, tearful emotions, while the leader himself remains calm and composed. But what drives these dramatic displays of emotion? After the death of his father, Kim Jong-il, in the year 2012, strict rules were imposed on public mourning. Soldiers who didn't visibly show enough grief or failed to attend the mourning ceremonies were severely punished. Even those who participated but didn't appear emotional enough faced similar consequences. These expectations for outward displays of loyalty have continued, with soldiers seen crying and clapping enthusiastically during parades or in photo sessions with Kim Jong-il. Are these emotional displays genuine acts of devotion, or are they the result of fear? These orchestrated performances expose the tension within a regime where public loyalty is not just encouraged but enforced. They show how far some will go to survive in a system that demands total allegiance, revealing the pressure to conform even in the most personal of expressions. In most countries, a dishonorable discharge is one of the harshest punishments a soldier can face. It often means losing benefits, facing restrictions, and being excluded from certain jobs or opportunities. However, in North Korea, this punishment can sometimes be viewed as a chance for a better life. A dishonorable discharge in North Korea comes with serious consequences, such as expulsion from the Workers' Party and the loss of any chance to become a party official, an important position linked to better living conditions. Despite this, some soldiers see it as a way out of the harsh military life. For soldiers posted at the borders, opportunities for illicit activities like smuggling or accepting bribes can offer substantial rewards. In some cases, these activities allow soldiers to buy their way out of service. Once discharged, even dishonorably, they often live more comfortably than those who remain in the military, continuing to endure its grueling conditions. This reveals a complex reality in North Korea's military, where survival sometimes depends on navigating a harsh system and taking risks to escape its strict rules. But what does it say about a country when soldiers begin to view dishonor as a way to improve their lives? What does this tell us about the treatment of North Korean military personnel? Could this be a sign of deeper issues within the system? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into life in this little-known part of the world. Now back to the healthcare reform process. In North Korea, soldiers face a mandatory celibacy rule that lasts for their first 10 years of service. This restriction has a profound effect on their personal lives, delaying major milestones like marriage and starting a family. But what psychological impact does such a prolonged separation from intimate relationships have? Despite the strict regulations, it's reported that male soldiers sometimes form both heterosexual and homosexual bonds within the military. These rules governing celibacy and marriage go beyond personal restrictions. They subtly shape North Korean society as a whole. By delaying marriage, the government ensures its soldiers remain fully committed to the regime, placing loyalty to the state above personal relationships and family ties. What do you think is the long-term effect of this forced celibacy? How might it influence relationships between soldiers and the state? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the hidden world of North Korea. When North Korean soldiers are deployed alongside Russian troops, they face more than just the challenges of war. One of the most pressing issues is the language barrier. In an attempt to bridge this gap, Russian military leaders have tried to teach North Korean soldiers 100 basic Russian commands. However, despite these efforts, understanding remains limited. Could this be due to the differences in educational systems, or perhaps the result of North Korea's rigid ideological conditioning? To make communication easier, the Russian forces have introduced Korean language forms, which are used for the distribution of military supplies. These forms include culturally familiar terms, such as using joseon to describe sizes. This is a term tied to North Korea's unique interpretation of Korean culture and history. This disconnect not only hinders effective communication and combat readiness, but also highlights the broader ideological and historical gaps between the two countries. It shows how deeply rooted cultural and political differences can complicate the cooperation between two militaries, making the blending of forces far more difficult than it may seem. In many countries, when soldiers fall in battle, their families are given financial support to help them cope with the loss. In the United States, for example, surviving family members may receive pensions or other forms of compensation to ease the financial strain. But what about the families of soldiers in North Korea? What do they receive? In North Korea, the families of fallen soldiers are not provided with any financial assistance. Instead, they are given a certificate that honors the soldier's sacrifice to the Workers' Party. This certificate is meant to symbolize loyalty and honor, but for a family struggling to make ends meet, it offers no practical support. It doesn't buy food, pay bills, or help with daily necessities. Families are left to bear the emotional and financial weight on their own. This grim reality underscores the hardships faced by North Korean soldiers and their families, shedding light on the hidden struggles within one of the most secretive nations on Earth. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support truly means a lot to us. Right now, a new video should be popping up on your screen. Give it a click, and I'm sure you'll find it just as fascinating. Let us know in the comments below which country you'd like us to explore next. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for joining us. Leave a comment, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting videos. See you in the next video.